So now we're installing a 212-cylinder piston and the Daytona 4-valve head on my ZS190. This video is going to be maybe just a lot of me talking to myself and just doing the work. I'll explain things, highlights, but I want to get it done, not play Steven Spielberg, so don't expect high-end production quality on this. This is not a detailed how-to. It's going to be an overview, just watching some guy do it. I'll probably cut out some of the really long, boring parts when I'm searching for tools in my messy garage, but for the most part, it's just going to be me doing the work. So, I'd say enjoy, but it probably won't be that enjoyable. But, well, we'll see what happens. First thing we need to do is get these plastics off. Put the key somewhere where I'm not going to break it off. Yes, I'm bundled up a little bit. It is like 40 degrees here in Michigan. Not particularly warm. It might actually be still in the 30s. Just zip these off. If I wanted to, I'd probably use an impact driver just to zip them off fast, but they're not exactly torqued real tight, being plastic and all. Not particularly strong plastic either. Yeah, let that one out. If I'm lucky, I only need to take one side off. This will probably be the most mundane part of it all. Remember, these have to go. Should replace these with actual bolts. We've already dropped a screw. You know what? We're going to come back for that later. Oh, this is the fun part. Need to get a small screwdriver. I really hate taking all these off. Of course, there's always one you can't reach. Always. Might be able to fit this little screwdriver in there. Maybe. Maybe not. We're gonna see. Don't ask me where my little stubby screwdrivers went. Alright. Now we got it. Come on, you. Carefully. Just set that up and out of the way. The less I gotta touch it, the less likely it is to break. What am I missing? What am I missing? No. Don't think anything. are just clipped in up here. Let go. Oh. There we go. Might take our seat lock off. Snip those cable ties. For the catch can. Not hurting for cable ties. Bring you in closer. Now that we got all that done. So you can see, got our PWK 28. I do need to reattach the regulator. This had cable ties that it broke. We'll find a spot for it. Fuel filter looks okay over there. But all in all, she's fine. And then from here, you can't see, there's a, from here, oh, it's all gonna be brand new and replaced. Strategically placed ratchet strap right where you can see. So let's try this. That's better. That's better. I'll spin you around when we get to the front here. I already have the fuel turned off. Let's pull this intake. We can unplug this. Maybe I'll just pull this whole intake and pop the fuel line off and move the whole carb and intake assembly over. Need an 8mm. Let's see if we can fit the ratchet in here. Ratchet. Yes, yes we can. Do it somewhat evenly so we don't crack the aluminum or warp it. You know, these motorcycle lifts from Harbor Freight are really nice. They're expensive. If you can afford one, use a coupon. They'll save your back. I'd hate to have to be doing this on the ground. There we go. Ooh, a little bit of a tear on the gasket, but we can work with that. Now let's pop this fuel line off. There'll be a little bit of gas in here. Come on, you little rat bastard. Okay, so it needs a little help. Here we go. Just a little bit. It'll dribble out. It'll go onto our paper towel. And then, where can I set this out of the way? I don't want to have to take the slide and all that fun shit out. We just let it dangle right here in front of the oil cooler. Oh. Yeah, I hope I got a new one of those. That would suck. I was hoping that would come off a little cleaner. Only so I could reuse it. Gotta get the valve cover off now. Haven't had this off since I installed the engine. Check the valves. This one's tight now that there's an oil cooler here. Get a regular. Be able to work with this and put this in here. I don't want to have to take the cooler off if I can avoid it. Hey, we got it. Some of these, so I don't mix them up, I'm just going to screw them right back where they came from. Okay. Pop. There we are. A little bit of oil drippage, completely normal. Nice, clean, fresh oil. Oh, that decomp spring is a little weak, isn't it? Gotta check. I don't know if the cam gear that's on here has a provision for the decomp or not, but I don't kickstart it, so I don't know that it's entirely necessary to put it on. Yeah, maybe it does. I guess. We'll see. We need to drop the exhaust. Way. Come on, you. You're gonna be that way. Rotate it towards the back. way to do it. I'd like to get some stainless hardware for this. Oh, this is such slow going. Come on, you. Gonna have to put exhaust studs in this. Swap them over. Super. Okay. I'm gonna have to stop recording so I can look something up. I'll come back when we get to progress. Update. So I got the chain adjuster off. Told you. How you want to do that is loosen this 10mm and then remove the 2/8. Do it in that order. Pull it straight out, put it someplace safe. Next step, we're going to remove, you can't see, remove these two cap head screws that hold the cam gear on. Then the cam gear and decomp assembly can come off. The cam chain will be loose, and then we'll go towards removing the head. Be back in a minute. Before I even get started on that, so you're going to want to make sure that you set this engine to top dead center before you start pulling things apart too far. I probably should have done that before I removed the cam gear or cam tensioner. But you can remove this screw here. Gives you access to the crankshaft. Bolt should be not that size. Not a 16. The hell are you? Maybe it's a 15. 15 or 14. Nope. Try 15. Probably 14. Because why would it be the first three I grab? Why would it be the first three? Move the inspection cap here. It's also probably a good idea to remove the spark plug so that you're not fighting with the compression of the engine, which, by the way, is really high. But one would hope you'd know that. Spark plug removed. Let's take a look. Well, I've seen it, but I'll show you. Focus. Nah. Yeah, I'd say that's not bad at all. I mean, I know it's not focused super great, but no real wear. Just a little sooty around the outside edge. If anything, we might be running a touch lean. Or not lean, shit, rich. But, yeah, it's better. I don't know if you... It won't focus. That's way too close. Nah. Yeah, it's better. Not bad. It's fine. That's the point. The point is that it's fine. And then... Dollars to donuts. It's a 14. Yeah. It's going to turn counterclockwise. You're going to need a little light so you can see in here to find where top dead center is. My chain is a little loosey-goosey, but that's okay. Oh, see F, and then there would be T. Right there. Like I said, it's pretty much already there. Check it by making sure your valves are not open or closed. Both of them wiggle. Check the gear. There's 2 lines on the cam gear. Having them lined up such that they're up and down towards the front and back of the engine. That's where top dead center is. With the cam. So now that our engine's at top dead center, then then is when you take this cam tensioner off. But I won't tell if you don't. So let's get this cam gear off, and then we can move to the head. Buggers were on there at about like 1,000 foot-pounds. It was insane. Had to get a 5mm Allen in a quarter-inch bit. Set that guy aside. Now we can slide. Well, before we do that, let's just make sure we're still at TDC. A little off, but that's okay. We'll just go tweak. Now, our cam gear comes off. Boom, chain's nice and dangly. Okay. Right. Next step, my head's in the way. There's 2 Allen head bolts in here we need to take off. Yeah. Those are probably also 5mm. Let's check that. They are. See if I can get them off with just a T-wrench. This carburetor might have to get moved. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Moving. I just don't have a lot of torque with this. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to use ratchet. You just get a little bit more torque on it. Now we can switch to the T-handle. Oh my God, carburetor! There, maybe. Hang out in front of the oil cooler, but don't damage it. Freshly waxed fender, it's already cracked. Yay, Chinese plastic. These 2 little guys out. Ooh. By little guys, I mean not so little. Looks like they got silicone or some sort of gasket sealer all along that. That's interesting. That's interesting. We shall see what that. Make sure there's no washers or nothing. Doesn't look like it. All right, we're ready for the head bolts. No idea what size these little bad boys are. Probably. Yep, 12. Let's see if I got a short 12. Yeah, I would say short's not long. It's one of my dad's old SKs from the 70s. That should do. Yeah, make sure you're on there nice and good. Kind of go in order, crisscross. These will be tight. They shouldn't be like Herculean tight. And once you crack them loose, then they're just come right off. Copper washers. Yeah, said this wasn't going to be a detailed how-to, yet here I am narrating the whole damn thing. Just talk less, do more. Check something here. I'll get you in a good spot to see here. Good enough, right? So those are out. Can chain. Might need to get a little rubber mallet. Rubber mallet or a dead blow hammer. Oop, I think I felt it. Crack that head gasket seal. Should. Yeah. Okay, well, I am going to probably have to remove my oil cooler. Just to give myself some room to get the... Ah, you little bastard. Just to slide the head out. This is a good time since you've got pretty much half the bike torn apart. Go through and look over everything you can't normally see during inspection. This one's going to be a bit of a bastard to get to. Some dingus, won't name names, me, put the horn on this bracket too. Dummy. All the work and effort and hours put into putting these things together. How you like. Oops, a little gassy gas there. There we go. Wedge him up in there. Yeah, that's better. Get this moved out of the way. Your head should slide off. You might have to move the tire or the fender here. Come on, you. There we go. Oil cooler down. can do it. There we go. And our head is off. Head is off. There's 2 valve. Two valve. Huh. I did a better job painting this than they did. Wow. Here's our intake. See if I can get camera view angle here. Look at how choked off that is around the valve guide. There's so much room for head porting and improvement on the stock 2 valve head. Oh yeah, exhaust, you're not gonna see as much because it's super dark, or maybe you will. Backwards. You know, that big old hump around the valve guide. Wow. So much room for porting. So if you're not doing 4 valve, take your 2 valve off and get that sucker ported. Big time. Gonna lay out a paper towel for the old 2 valve head here. Okay. Brief manual check. Pull out the bottom valve, camshaft chain guide. Inspect it for wear. It looks beautiful, but there's only like, I don't know, 500 miles on this. Yeah, maybe 1,000 miles on this engine. Be careful of the 2 dowels on the cylinder. They don't fall someplace they don't belong. Here's our head gaskets. Metal shim. You can actually reuse these quite a few times. I'm going to leave that alone. And then at this point, where's your mallet? We're going to break it free from the base gasket, which shouldn't take a lot. Wiggle, wiggle. Hands are oily. There we go. There we go. Phone's ringing. We don't have time for that. We're building a big bore. Now, at some point, you'll see we've got the upper cam chain guide. There's our piston. The rings are starting to pop out, so this guy's going to slide out. Don't let this slam down and go nuts with it. You don't want to be crazy abusive with any of this stuff, but your piston's going to come out of the cylinder sleeve, like so. We've got some dowels here that are probably going to have to go on the new one. I'm going to put them back where they belong for now. Yeah, they had some kind of gasket sealer around the base gasket here. You live over here now. There's our upper guide. Here's our chain. Good time to grab your flashlight that you should always have with you and inspect. Okay, let's get some towels wrapped around in here. So, been there, done that. Don't need nothing going down the case. And then we'll take the piston off. Pause. Needle nose. If you can't get it in there, you might have to use a little pick tool. But last time I used a pick tool, end of the pick broke off. Ended up inside an engine. Had to split the cases. The Leatherman tool was exactly right. There's your circlip that holds the piston pin, the wrist pin. So now you can push the wrist pin through from the other side a little and go whoop. Out she comes. Inspect it for wear. And we got you know, visible, but nothing you can feel. Oh, let's just put it over here with its other parts. At this point, got yourself a 190 piston. Part number 16010. Inspect it. We've got a little bit of carbon buildup. That's probably an indication that I'm running a little rich and or too high a octane fuel. Octane is not just a thing, it's an actual chemical and compound. C8H12? Depends on, I don't remember. But I know it's C8 because octo, 8. It's 8 carbon molecule or atoms. Too much octane, too much carbon, doesn't burn properly. Piston rings are nice and free. So the skirts have a little bit of markation, but nothing extreme, nothing you can feel. Can't feel it with your finger. Human fingers can generally feel up to 5/1000ths of an inch variance. Nothing on the intake side. Exhaust side's fine. If you want to see the difference here between the two, I don't know if the camera does that justice. You're talking about a 4mm difference in piston size. Didn't seem like a lot when you're thinking about it, but man, when you're looking at them like this, here's the new. Someone pounded on something. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot bigger. That should give us good bump in horsepower. Very thorough increase in torque. Clean off anything you see in here that you can't normally get to. And at this point, I'm gonna go put piston rings on the piston. And probably spray some copper gasket material on the head gasket, maybe the base gasket. Got it around here somewhere, I'll show you. Yeah. Copper spray gasket. It's a high temp sealant, so it improves heat transfer. Also makes it so that the gaskets come off a little bit easier if you ever take it off again. So at this point, I'm going to take a bathroom break and collect my bearings, no pun intended. Get the piston rings on, and then we're ready to reassemble. So at this point, it's just the reverse of everything you just did. We'll have to look up the head nut torque, and at that point, I mean, shit, we're done. It's not hard. Once you get this far, just reverse and then put it back together with the new parts. But we'll get there. I think the hardest part is going to be transferring the exhaust studs from the old head, because studs suck. I don't know if I want to run to the hardware store and go get some nice stainless bolts instead. I might do that. We'll figure it out. I didn't mention yet. I mentioned piston rings. And I haven't done this in the last 3 builds. I got what was a 150 Chinese GY6 scooter engine inside of a quad. That's now a 171cc with a Daytona big valve head. It's a beast for what it is. And then on my Hawk 250, that's now a 300, true 250, but a 300 cylinder. And then on my old original 125 that went to a 141, I never did this, but I probably should have. Piston ring end gap. So what you need to do installed is you take your piston rings, you fit them into the cylinder, and then you measure the gap between the two ends. Spec for the Daytona Anima 190, and I think it should be the same for the 212, is 5/1000ths to 20/1000ths. So I'm actually going to check that on this one because this engine is higher compression, runs harder than these other ones I've been messing with. I just want to make sure it's right. And then we should check the valve lash. Should be 5 thousandths to 7 thousandths according to the book. I'll probably set it right in the middle at 6. I don't see how that goes. So I'm going to do that now. Got some fresh hot coffee. Because coffee. You might ask yourself, what does Jason put in his coffee? Nothing, just coffee. Creamer and crap takes up room where coffee should be. Oh, that's just good. That's good. I'll be back. It's as high as my table goes, but it's a good workbench. Piston end gap, I checked. And remember I said spec was 0.05 to 0.20 thousandths of an inch. All of mine were at 0.10, so perfect. Now valve lash, when you get the head, they're not set at all. So that's something we're gonna have to do. And so we shall start with that now. Loosen your block nuts and bring this bad boy down to about where your feeler gauge is. Where it just drags. There's 1,000 videos on how to check valve lash on these small engines. So I'm going to pull out 5, 6, and 7 in that order. Make sure 7 doesn't fit. How it kind of does. Turn this more. Nope. Make sure 6 does. Yup. So that one is good, and we can lock it down. Now, they'll tend to move on you. So let me go grab my actual tool for this. Composed of 2 parts. God, I wish this stool was a little shorter. Of course, the whole thing's covered in oil. Why wouldn't it be? Good thing about leaving your tools covered in grease and oil, they'll never rust on you, right? So one side will hold our nut, that one. The other side will hold our adjuster so she don't move. So, one on the nut, on the adjuster, tighten adjuster, or lock nut. Now you're gonna recheck this bad boy. 6, yep. 7's a little tight. But you know what? That's exhaust side. If I remember right, exhaust tends to heat up and get big. What happened there where my watch turned on my music. So I'm gonna loosen this. I'm gonna tighten it just a smidge. You sometimes have to go through and do this on each one like 3, 4, 5 times. It's ridiculous. Definitely fits. Yeah, see, that's still a little snug. So I'm going to go through and do all 4 of these. All right, piston rings are on. Valves are adjusted, so we're ready to put the piston back on the connecting rod. After we drink some more coffee. This whole entire project powered by coffee. Got some assembly lube here. You could just use motor oil. Whatevs. Don't need a lot. Just spread it around. Slider guy in here. Got new stir clips here. We'll pop one side in. Keep them almost due by hand. Might need a little help with... Yeah, we dropped it. But I see it. Yeah. It's fine. Make sure you're mindful. Piston. Where's the camera? EX. Exhaust. That matters. Super important to make sure that this circlip is in the groove, or else you will have rapid, unexpected disassembly. Let's put a little bit here too. Bloop. Oh yeah. Like butter. This is the part that's tricky because there's not a lot of room to see. Or work. Oh. Got it. Again, make sure she's in that groove. We are good. Double check you didn't put it in upside down like a bonehead. All right, at this point, we can apply our base gasket, which I didn't spray any of those yet. I should do that. Make sure the mating surfaces are super clean, which this one already is. It's really nice. But to wipe it down nonetheless. And then we can put our cylinder on. I'll be back. Base gasket, all coppery now. I've just been cleaning up the garage while waiting for that to kind of tack up. So we will now carefully assemble this, but be mindful. This is towards the bottom right side of the bike. You can put this on upside down. Not left to right so much, but definitely backwards. You just gotta maneuver the piston and the cam chain guide through the holes. Don't bend this guy. Make sure you get the chain through. Now remember, there were dowels. Wherever I put them. Still on the original. They went nuts with the gasket sealer there. So these go on the cam side, or cam chain, yeah, cam chain side. 2 of them. That will help orient the cylinder when it goes into time. Now here you're gonna want some either oil or more assembly lube. Aid in assembly. Oil would probably be better right here, but as long as it's lubed of some nature. You just don't want to put it in dry. No joke. Haha. Perv. Oh, the tricky part on this is going to be compressing the piston rings in such a way that we can get it into the cylinder sleeve. That's always fun. By fun, I mean not fun at all. Sometimes I like to put the piston in the cylinder first and then connect it to the connecting rod. You can see what I'm doing here, right in this region. This is that's got to go in there, and then this whole thing will sit down nice and flush. So let's work on getting these piston rings compressed. Usually you can just use a fingernail. If you don't got one of those, stop chewing them. I'll tell you the same thing I tell my kids. It's gross, man. Okay, got one. It's easier when you're on the side where the gap is, that's for sure. Ah, dang it, she popped out. All the other videos make this look so easy. It's tricky, not gonna lie to you. First time you do this might piss you off. Keep in mind, you've only got, in my case, 0.010 of an inch end gap with the rings. Oop, knocked you. So the tolerances you're working on here are very tight. But once it goes, it'll go. Once she's in. Like that. Don't forget to fish your cam chain through. Sometimes you can put a zip tie or string on this to make it easier to manipulate. feel like the camera. If I stop kicking the tripod, hey? Just be glad I'm one of the people that actually uses a tripod. Could be worse. I could be holding the phone with one hand and trying to do all this with another, like some of those ridiculous videos. There we go. Make sure we're back at TDC here. Wipe all this extra assembly lube off, because that'll make a mess. Trying to burn that. I mean, you're not gonna get all of it, but check our mark. Oh yeah, that's spot on. Okay. I think this actually goes this way. Goes in there, fits like that. Well, she'll definitely be lubricated. I did notice that there's a bolt, some sort of plug on the original cylinder we're going to need to transfer over. I don't know what that's for, but it goes right into the cam chain galley. You see there? Maybe for checking cam wear or chain wear. The cylinder on this looks really good. There's like no wear. Cross hatching is perfect. I'm going to transfer over these dowels now, just like before. And then we're pretty much, other than this bolt here, or plug, we're done. Depending on what 212 kit you get, some of these are not cut for the electric starter, so you're going to have to hacksaw the bottom fins off. I didn't pay attention to that when I ordered mine, and I got lucky. But that is exactly what I got, was the correct one. All right, I'm going to transfer that plug over, and then we'll work on the head. Getting the exhaust studs into the new head, not really a problem. So here, can't really zoom in or nothing. I think we're ready to install our cylinder head. Should be exciting. Really want to do this without scratching or marring your head surface, because that would just be absolutely horrible. Come on, you rat bastard. Yeah, we're just hitting on the fender. Need to find a new angle. Maybe if I turn. Maybe get more room this way. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, remember, we want to fish our chain through. You want to make sure the guides go into their slot as well. There we are. I might have to take this cam gear off. Fuck. You know, I don't know if there's enough stretch in that to do that. Nothing really to hold this either. Oh wait. Oh, thankfully, just like the valve lash, these bolts are not in here super tight at all. They're just finger tight because they probably knew you were going to have to take the cam gear off in order to put this all back together. Now the real trick here is making sure, okay, those should be straight up and down. And then you might have to screw with this a few different times to get, I mean, if you're off by one tooth, may heaven have mercy on your soul because you done fucked it up. It looks about right. The trick though, man, that feels really tight. It's almost like this chain is one short. What the hell? I don't want to do this, but man, you shouldn't really have to force this. It's the same cam gear. Cam gears are identical. I've never heard of a situation where the cam chains were different. They really shouldn't be. Oh, I see. This whole thing needs to get a little bit, it's not butted up against the block yet. Yeah, there's like 2 millimeters, which is what I need here. We just have to kind of squeeze her in. We may want to actually bolt the head and cylinder down before we do this. Oh man, we are so close, so close. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to wait. I am going to bolt this bad boy down first. Reason being, the gap between the cylinder and the block is like 2 millimeters of space. That's what we need for the chain to go that way enough to put the gear on. That's all that it is. That's all. We'll have to get a torque wrench out, relook up the specs. This one has a 2-position clockable intake. Cool. should be fine now. Yeah, see, that's off by a tooth. Or two. There we go. Now, do I want to use the decomp on this? Oh man, or do I not? Probably should. Little spring. This guy needs an extra turn. You do this if the spring doesn't have enough tension. To return the decompression mechanism. Or you could just probably skip it altogether. Which I'm inclined to do. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Just put it in as is. Use the new ones it came with. Like I said, this part's just reverse of installation. Huzzah. Alright, when something happens, I'm just going to tighten these bad boys up, 22 foot-pounds. I snugged them to 16 and then a little bit. So we're just going to go a little bit more. Click. 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 Don't overdo it. Now that that's on there, I think we want to rotate this thing over just to make sure she, you know, listen for any sounds. Ready for the first start. Oh, wait. No, I'm not. I'm going to delete this. So not ready to start it yet because the 2-valve uses a different spark plug. I have a CR9E. I thought it was compatible with an ER9H or EH that the 4 valves take. No. This thread is 9.7, 9.8, basically 10 millimeter. And the 4-valve head is an 8 millimeter thread diameter. Now we can turn it on and crank it over. We'll have no compression, no spark because it'll blow out here, but we can, you know, make sure it rotates. We can hear the compression. So once I get a spark plug, we'll be ready to start it. For our first start, got the new spark plug in. Gonna give it some fuel enrichment. Let's hope for the best. Whoa, okay, that was something. I think my throttle cable was stuck. Let's try that again. One heat cycle on it, so here we are. I'm gonna start it again so you can listen to it. A little bit of tuning left. She's mean. So I got the bike here. I did one heat cycle up to about 100 degrees F, according to the oil temp sensor in the sump. I'm going to cool off a little bit, then I'll warm it up again, and maybe take it for a little ride around the block. I did find it has a little bit of an erratic idle, a little bit of starting fluid sprayed around. That intake gasket that tore that I thought would be okay, probably not okay. I have to use some gasket maker or just order a replacement gasket for it would be the right thing to do. So we'll see with that. Only thing I noticed that I might have done wrong, it doesn't seem to affect it and I don't know if it ever will, is that the cam chain adjuster. On other ones I've seen, you can notice how this is a little offset to one side. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be on that side. I don't know if that makes a difference on how the chain rides. And I did get the starter cord here a little tight against the fins. Should probably fix some of the wiring I got there. But the flat side 28 seems to be working out okay. Gonna leave the plastics off until I get it test ride, unless I have to start messing with this or pull the intake off again. But so far so good, and she does rev fast. Just a little blip and she's at 8,000 RPM. So I'll let y'all know how the test ride goes. That's that intake leak causing it to stall. Well, I sealed up. The intake gasket. Made a new intake gasket from a piece of a Ritz cracker box. Sprayed both sides with, I use this on base gaskets and head gaskets, the copper spray gasket. Only because one side of the Ritz box was smooth. But now she's holding idle and not stalling, so another warm-up heat cycle tomorrow. Take it for a longer, harder ride. Man, it's worth it.